Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where it is our Roundox Grand National special, focusing on Saturday. So we've already done days 1 and 2. We've got the results in for day 1. We had a decent opening day of the Roundox Grand National Festival, but we are here live on Thursday previewing Saturday's action. Here were winners from day 1. We had Rixie was in great form, which pains me to say it because he could be a cocky so-and-so, can't he, that Rick? But he had a good time of it. Protectorat, 9.5. He found that. Monmiral, we had a couple of good shouts for that. 1.9 in the end. I think it was 2.0 when it went up on the pod. And Rixie's best bet, Clanders Obeaux, 3.5. It was very much a go on, Fergie boy, for Rixie, even though he wouldn't say it. We had some good places as well. Sam's best bet, Clondor Castle. 3 of us put that up, actually. That shortened up a good bit. 7.5 was the official SP for Clondor Castle. And Miss Lamb scraped into 3rd at 21.0 in the Mayor's Bumper. So all in all, some welcome profit on day 1. And we move on to Saturday, day 3. Offer time before I say hello to the team. We've got Adele and Steve Jones, obviously, alongside. But Deasy, get this offer going for us. Remind us of it.
Okay, so our sign-up offer is 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. So if you sign up today, enter bonus code INSIGHTS, and you're getting 0% commission on all sports for your first month. So cracking offer. Great value.
Don't forget to use that bonus code INSIGHTS, and yeah, you're guaranteed to get best odds with 0% commission. Very likely to on the Matchbook Exchange anyway, but with that 0% commission, you are very likely to indeed. Steve, great to have you along with us. You were originally going to be doing days 1 and 2, but when you realised Roxana was running on the Saturday, you begged to preview the Saturday because you love her so much. How are you?
Yeah, good. She's got a good chance, hasn't she? I won't. I'm not going to tip her. But she's got a good chance. I thought she was interested in 6s, but yeah. No, looking forward to it. This is the greatest race in the world. So I'm glad that I managed to get a transfer over to Saturday.
Absolutely. And also, Steve, as opposed to basically 10 race previews, we've only got to do 6. So happy days.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it.
That was a huge part of it, exactly. Adele, greatest jumps race in the world, the Grand National.
Definitely, it's kind of what got me into racing, really. And I don't think it matters what role you have in racing. How many people are going to be asking you for a tip for Saturday? It doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a jockey, whether you work as in catering or whatever. Everyone comes to you for a tip. So yeah, it got me into racing, picking out obviously my 50p bets with my dad when I was younger. So it's a race everyone looks forward to.
Honestly, it is. When you work in racing, the phone from today, really, I've had about 4 or 5 today. They go, tips for the National. And then you give them 3 or 4 at big prices and they're not in the place. They just reply, well, they were rubbish. 40 runners! 40 runners for the National? What do you want? Once a year? Anyway.
I usually get asked what Paul's riding. I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's Paul riding at the National? Right. Let's move on to prices then. So, Deasy, I don't know how many you want to give us, but this is what it looks like at the moment. No Tiger Roll. That's the last time we'll mention him. Move on. Cloth Cap 6.4. What's after that?
Manila Times, Rachel Blackmore's mount is 12.0. Then you have Borough Saint, 13.0. Annie Second now, 15.0. Kimberley Candy, 17.0. Secret Reprieve, not guaranteed a run, 16.5. Disco Rama, 22.0. Fairclaw, 24.0. Magical Light, 25.0. Potter's Corner, 30.0. Bristol de May, 34.0. Annabelle Fly, 34.0. Acapella Bourgeois, 38. Some Neck, 38. Mr. Malarkey is 42, and that'll do for the moment. Big prices the rest.
That is plenty, isn't it? Yeah, huge prices the rest. I don't know who should kick us off because we're going to have a few each. So Adele, it's been a while since we last had you on. Too long. Who do you like and why? And where do you want to start? You're not going with the Trevor Hemmings favourite. I know that much.
No, I can see why he's favourite. He's very much kind of like this season's horse, isn't he? Potter's Corner I was really strong on him if he'd have ran in it last year. Obviously, kind of don't know. I'm not saying he's had a bad prep this year, but last year I suppose it was kind of on everyone's radar after winning the Welsh National, and it was a big price. What was he? 30.0. I think you'd be mad not to have a bit on him each way. He's the only proven distance winner in the field. He's his forte is he stays and he jumps, and he's always been aimed at the Grand National. So I'm going to still have him on side. I tipped him and backed him in the virtual Grand National last year on ITV. So I'm going to stick with him. And then I think Magic Light, I've got her. She's very tough. She stays well. And then I did have Acapella Bourgeois as well, but I wasn't sure about he seems to go quite well right-handed, but I did think he would be one. And then I've got Taking Risks, Scottish National winner. He won that off probably having a handy weight. He seems to have had a decent enough prep this year. Beat Aintree at Doncaster and Canelo, and he stays well, and he's well worth his lineup, and he's a big price. He's about 48.0. So I've gone big prices. You've got to, haven't you? For the national.
Get a mention in there for good old Taking Risks. I love Taking Risks after that win at Newcastle. That was absolutely tremendous. What were you going to say?
I've actually done all right in the national though over the years. My 50p bet, I've actually backed a few winners. So surely between the four of them, I've picked out. There must be one of them there.
All right, let me update those prices on Deasy if you're standing by. So Potter's Corner first. I take it, Adele. Would these be sort of split stakes, win and place for all of them? You level stakes, win and place.
Potter's Corner, I'm going to do win and place, and then the rest of them in place.
Okay, rest of them in the place market. Deasy, Potter's Corner. What price are we talking?
30.0.
That's a lovely price. And Magical Light, Taking Risks.
Magical Light is 25.0 and Taking Risks is 48.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Was there another one, Adele? Have I missed?
I had Acapella Bourgeois, but I'm not.
Yeah.
He was just in each way as well.
It's 38.0.
And that brings us on to Jonesy, who likes Acapella Bourgeois. I want to say hello to Peter, Helen, regulars who are along. Peter, you've made it. Well done. What happened yesterday? We missed you. Helen, lovely to have you back as well. Well done, Peter. You found 3 winners. Good stuff. We're going to get you on the pod, Peter. For goodness sake. Jonesy, Acapella Bourgeois. Go on. What makes the case? And are you worried about the horse going this way around at all?
Yeah, it's interesting because he doesn't run left-handed very often. So when I was looking at it, I thought, I've spotted why he's 33-1, and Burroughs Saint, who he's got form with, is second favourite. But then you go back and he seems perfectly okay left-handed. I don't know why he only tends to run right-handed, because when you go back, he's won twice at Navan, which is left-handed, and they were good wins. He's disappointed a little bit when he's come over. He's twice come over for Cheltenham, but one of those was in the old RSA chase behind Mike Bite, which was a hot enough race, and the other one was over hurdles. So I'm willing to chance him going left-handed. And at the end of the day, it's a big galloping track, isn't it? So I know he's got to go left-handed at the Canal Turn, which a few horses have gone straight on. But his profile is very good, and for this reason, he's an experienced horse. And people say, "Oh, he's an 11-year-old." I'd rather have an 11-year-old than a 7-year-old. I couldn't. I think it's a blessing in disguise that Secret Reprieve isn't got in, because I think he's too young and he's too. I know he's well handicapped, but he's too inexperienced for me. And I'd like to stick with experience, and that's what Acapella Bourgeois does. And he stays. He was third to Burroughs Saint in the Irish National a couple of years ago when he made the running. I think it's easier to race prominently at Aintree. I think it's an advantage over the Grand National fences to race prominently, which he will do. I like the way he jumps. And it might sound a strange thing to say, but he really gets back on his hocks and he jumps them. If you jump low, you can sometimes be in trouble. I know they've modified the fences a bit and they're a bit easier to jump, but I still think on the big ditches, you've got to get right back on your hocks and jump them. And that's what he does. And he'll just get into a nice rhythm, and hopefully he'll be able to grind it out. But his form is very close with Burroughs Saint. He beat Burroughs Saint last time, giving him £6. And I know this is only a prep race for Burroughs Saint, but he gets £1. So he's £7 better off for a horse he's beaten, and he's closely matched with in the Irish National from a couple of years ago. And yet they're so far apart in price. So I think he's very interesting. So he's my main one.
He's your main one. Have you got any others floating around, or is he? Do you just want to go with him? You don't have to have any more just because it's the Nash. I know what a Shrudy you are.
That sarcasm's coming out again, Tom.
No, I mean it.
What my greatest day tipping was Neptune Collonges a few years ago. So that it's happy memories for the Grand National, especially with 33 to 1 shot. I think he's 38, wasn't he, Deasy, a cappella bourgeois? But at even bigger prices.
Look out.
Alan King doesn't like the Grand National. He says he hates it, but Talk is Cheap interests me a lot. Kempton 3 miles last time in the race won by Clondall Castle wouldn't have suited him at all, and they went very quick and he just got taken off his feet. You've got to go back 2 years to Sandown over 3.5 when he ran away with the Bet365 Gold Cup. Hugely impressive. The downside with Talk of Chief is you talk about horses being well in. Well, he's badly in by £5, which doesn't help. But I can see him going well. The other one, who is a crazy price, is Double Shuffle. Who?
Stop with the shuffle in a national. The shuffle in
he
a
ran
national.
in that same race that Clondall Castle won at Kempton, and he was up with that pace, and he was going ferociously fast. And he kept going. He wasn't beaten all that far, 10 or 12 lengths, by a horse who finished second in the Grade 1 today, Clondall Castle. He's in much better form this year than he has been in a long time. He won a good race at Kempton when, again, he went quite quick and just kept going. And before that, he ran well behind Royal Pagal, who obviously was good enough to run in a Gold Cup. So he should never be 3 figures that he is in some places. What is he, Deasy? Is he...
Double Shuffle is 160.0.
160. There's a lot worse horses at a lot shorter odds because he likes decent ground. Hopefully they won't water too much. He jumps well. He goes from the front. If you see, Tom George ran him in the National as a 7-year-old, which for me, you're much better off being an 11-year-old than a 7-year-old. So those are my 3 stabs.
I'd rather have an 11-year-old than a 7-year-old, Jonesy, wouldn't you? You've said it already.
Grand National. I would in the Grand National.
He's a massive price, to be fair. You're going to be doing a good old double shuffle in the if he wins, won't you? I sort of hope he does now. I genuinely hope he does. Peter says he should be 360.0. That's nice.
I'll have a tenner with you, Peter.
So you got Acapella Bourgeois as the main bet. A bit of double shuffle. In all seriousness, win market, place market.
Acapella Bourgeois.
And then double shuffle, win market, place market as well.
Yeah, well, you'd be a brave man to bet place only and then cheer as it's going up the run in, thinking, oh, well, I've won a few quid, but I could have hit the jackpot.
And then Talk is Cheap as well. Right, Deasy, move over to you. How many you got? 3?
I have 3 ones I think are good bets and 1 crazy one then as well. So I'll start off with the first one. Discorama, Paul Nolan's horse. He has placed in the 4 miler at Cheltenham. He's placed in the Ultima at Cheltenham. 2 good Grand National trials. Generally, horses that come out of those races will go for the Grand National eventually. He's fresh. He's been saved for this. He's had a little wind up. I think like he will definitely stay. He's 22.0. Quite happy with that. There's been a small bit of money for him as well over the last few days, so encouraging enough. The second one then is Lord de Menil, just simply because I think that he's a Grand National horse. He ran well at Chepstow. Maybe the soft ground didn't help him, but he was very good at Haydock the last time. Probably not that well in, but again, he's a nice enough price. He is 44.0. So I'll be having a bit of that. Third one then is Far Class. Going to be the second winner of the Triumph Hurdle to go on and win the Grand National, hopefully. Now, he's a 7-year-old, but I think he has been unlucky in his last 2 runs not to win. I think he's clouted the last fence twice. He was beat by the shunter at Cheltenham. He's way down the bottom of the weights here. He's number 34. I think 24.0. If he stays, I can see him being very close to the front 5 or 6. So he would be more of a place bet than a win bet. And the final one, then the crazy one, is Jet, who Peter's Punts has been talking about in the comments here. Jet runs in every meeting ever. The horse must be shattered. So the reason I picked Jet is that Jet has been bought by Robert Whaley Cohen. He was bought earlier in the season, and his first run for his new owners was over at Aintree in I can't get the name of the race here now again. The Beecher in December in the first go off over the Grand National fences. Finished 8-14, but he made it round. Quite an encouraging run. He ran in the Savills Chase at Christmas, didn't do anything. He's had a little pipe opener over hurdles there last month behind Commander of the Fleet and Thurles. I just think, like, Jessica Harrington worked an absolute miracle with Magical Light a few years ago, came from nowhere to finish second. Jet is a great jumper of a fence. I think he's always been a good jumper of a fence. It's just a question of will he stay? And he is an absolutely massive price of 120.0 and getting bigger all the time. So I will be having a little win and place bet on him as well.
I love it. So some big prices, and I'm going to jump on your Discorama bandwagon, Dees, if you don't mind. I've got nothing to add really, other than I've followed this horse a good deal. I backed him at the last couple of Cheltenham festivals. I still think he should have won that Ultimate, but it wasn't to be. He's had his win done. I just think he's the ideal sort of profile for this race. He's probably one of the more obvious ones are going to go for. And in fact, I'm also going to follow Adele with Magic and Light. I just feel with her, in the last renewal of the National, she finished second to Tiger Roll. Well, if we take the view that he was a good thing for that, then I feel like she's just such a safe play to win and place to be on the premises. She's going to be up in the van. She's gone round before. And look, she might not win, but I thought win and place, she was very fair shout. So I agree with that. And then the other one I'll do at a curveball, Deasy, if you can check the price, is Alpha des Obeaux, who I think should be a chunky old price. He ran in the Beecher a couple of years ago and he jumped around fine. He finished third, keeping on. I don't know why he didn't run in the National that year. I'm not certain. And then his last few starts, he was fourth in the recent cross country. And then prior to that, he was pulled up a couple of times, including in the Irish Grand National Trial. Now, my sort of loose theory is that the weights came out on the 16th of February. The last start was on the 14th of February and the 28th of January when he was pulled up. They've probably helped him get to his weight of 152 because he didn't run particularly well. And on old form, he's looking like a pretty well-treated horse, I thought. Jodie McGarvey is bang on song after a brilliant Fairy House, and he's probably the biggest price of the lot I'll go for. What is Alpha des Obeaux, Dees?
110.0.
Lovely. Split stakes, win and place. So I think that's our National tied up. Which is, if I just go around and get the main selection from each person. So Adele, your main one for the National, if you can only back one, it is
Potter's Corner.
Potter's Corner. Dees, you can only back one, it is
Discorama.
Jonesy, the only one is
Acapella Bourgeois.
My only one is going to be it's going to be Alpha des Obeaux at the prices, just for a bit of interest at a massive price. We're done with the Nash. Anything to add? We're good. Let's move on. We'll go back to the start of the card now. So the Grade 3 Handicap Hurdle, the 145, which kicks us off. What have we got prices-wise, Dees? Do you want me to do those, or have you got any?
No, I have them here, yeah. So we have Come on Teddy is 9.0, Champagne Platinum is 9.5, T Clipper is 9.5, Polish is 10.0, Hometown Boy 11.0, Geoffroy is 11.0, Southfield Harvest is 11.0, Janica and Ballybeg are both 12.0, Whirling Dervish 13.0, Kid Commando is 17.0, and his big prices for the rest of them.
Hi, Louis Green. Glad you followed us on day one. He says, great tips for day one, lads. Thanks, Louis. They were all right. All right. Adele, I'm going to come to you first again because it was about 20 minutes ago when we last heard from you. What you got in the... I tell you, it's not an easy day, is it? What have you got in the open?
I'm not overly strong on any of them, to be honest with you, but I was quite taken with Polish, or Polish, or whatever you're going to say. Polish. She was quite convincingly at Newbury in February. Not sure how strong the race was, but the time was actually quite good for the grade of the race. It's only a Class 2. I'm not sure how strong it was. There's been a winner out who only won a Class 4. Just the way he'd done it, really. I thought he looked like he might have a little bit more to offer. And at the prices, I thought he might be worth a place bet. And then Tommy Rapper, I thought, was more the interesting one. He switches between fences and hurdles. He missed 20, but he was second in the race in 2019, beaten by his Sable companion. And he was pulled up in the Midlands National last time out, which was probably stretched his stamina too much. But on his return after, 400 something days off the track this season, he was second in a 10th qualifier. So I just thought he might have a little bit more to offer at a track that he does well at. And at the prices, you can play him at a place bet as well. I think when he was placed, it was something like 20-1 or something, I think. So yeah, I'll be having a little bit on him.
Tommy Rapper and Polish. Lots of agreement on the chat on Polish with you. I'll jump in there off the back of Polish, and the horse that I want to back comes out of that race. Polish got up 7 for that, which I thought was, I really like the horse. I thought, given the way he went through the race, I just worry about that rise. Just because he was off it a little bit. I don't think he's the easiest ride, but I do like him, and I nearly had him on side for this. But then I looked again at Southfield Harvest, and I thought, he's got the cheek pieces on for the first time. He's a massive horse. He's a proper chaser in the making. I backed him at Wincanton a couple of starts ago where he was beaten a neck. He's still a novice. So last time, perhaps he was just outdone by experience, but I thought he came through like the winner, and maybe he was outstayed. But the fact they put the cheek pieces on just tells me he probably wasn't quite giving everything he's got. Paul Nicholls goes for the cheek pieces, and that's just interested me enough to have a little go at double figures. I think you said, Dees, for Southfield Harvest. It's not a really strong shout, but I'll definitely be backing him win and place. I've got a bit of history with the horse, and he may well just be a horse for next year, crying out for a fence. But I thought 138. He's up £3 for last time. He's still got room, I think, off that mark if the cheek pieces have effect. And I know you, Dees, are agreeing on Southfield Harvest.
Yeah, he was entered in the Protemps, and I would have kind of half fancied him for that as well. I don't think the little bit of an extra break will have done him any harm. And I think he's 11.0, as you said. Now, small win and a nice place bet. But this is a very open race. I think But he was one that kind of stood out to me. I looked at the first, and the other one I have picked out is Stony Mountain, Jamie Snowden's horse. Now, he used to be a Trevor Hemmings horse. He was sold in the dispersal, but he has won at Aintree. I think he won at his maiden hurdle actually at Aintree a few years ago. He hasn't been seen with a while now. I think he's had a wind up, but he's a decent horse. He won well at Haydock as well. I think it was last season. And if he's right for this, I think he'll go very close off a nice big price of 23.0.
Yeah, it's a big old price, Stony Mountain, under Gavin Sheehan. And he also what's that?
Gavin Sheehan is from the same town that I'm from. He's from the Manway. He would have been in school with my younger brother.
Really?
Yeah.
That's inside knowledge. Incidentally, I saw that there's a Twitter place called Yay Cork, which you liked the other day. So I had a little look at Yay Cork, and it's like all the local information about Cork. And I wasted about 5 minutes of my life going through what's going on in Cork. I should have been studying the National. It's a good follow, Deasy, Yay Cork.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Cork. Yeah. It's a decent Twitter. Did you read the thing about all the streets being pedestrianised? And...
Yeah. That's what I was reading. Yeah, I felt like going like, "Yay, Cork!"
Yeah, Cork. I know. One Cork.
Right. So anyway, right. Let's move. Sorry, chaps. Let's move on. Jonesy, bit of a price for hometown boy, double figures.
Yeah. Just before you start, I'd just like to tell you what's going on in Tipperary as well. Because I was looking, I was gonna say I agree to some respect with Dees, because on the text when we were swapping tips, he put T Clipper, but he hasn't mentioned it. So I think T Clipper's got a good chance, and there's a strong record of horses coming from the Coral Club, as T Clipper did. He was third to Heaven Help Us in the Coral Club. And I think he's one that'll certainly is open to improvement going up in distance. Obviously, Come On Teddy, who was third in the per attempt, has got a great chance, but he comes from off the pace. Not as easy to come from off the pace at Aintree, I don't think, sometimes, unless they go very hard up front. If they don't, which there's a fair bit of pace in there, but the one I like is another horse stepping up in distance, which is Hometown Boy. He has only had one run this season, so he comes into it fresh horse. That was in February when he won at Kempton over 2.5. And I thought that was a really nice performance. He likes to get on the front end, whether he has to or whether it's just because of his stamina over 2.5, 2.4 that he does that, because he's got a lot of stamina in his pedigree. He's related to Simon, who was a horse that ran in the Grand National a few years ago. I think he was leading at Valentine's when Andrew Thornton fell off him. I think Mersey Rymel owned him. So there's a stack of stamina in Hometown Boy's pedigree. He likes decentish ground. He's fresh. He comes into it in form. Kieran Gethins, who rides him, is sort of had a breakthrough season. He's done really well this year. So I think he's got an awful lot going for him. But there, you could fancy quite a few in this. But he's my one, Hometown Boy.
Hometown Boy for Jonesy. Who? What's that price, Dees? Double figures?
Hometown Boy. I'm after losing the tab here now. 11.0.
11.0 for Hometown Boy. We're happy with the 145 staying handicap hurdle. Let's kick on to the Mersey Novices Hurdle. I can't find a bet here personally at the prices. Which are these?
So my Drogo is 2.92, Ballyadam is 3.95, Drill Deal is 7.8, Vanilla Drama is in there 12.0, JBY is 16.0, Adramel, sorry, skipped him, is 12.5, Pipe Smoker is 16.0, and then it's big prices for the rest.
I think one of the biggest prices is going to be put up by Jonesy. So you like, Steve, one at the top of the market and one at a bigger price as well, starting with Ballyadam.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. Ballyadam ran in the Supreme, was second in the Supreme, but Appreciate It just went so hard so early that it sort of took Ballyadam out of his comfort zone a little bit, and then a mistake, more importantly, 2 out, just ended his chance. He did well to stay on for second, albeit that Blue Lord's Fall handed it to him. But that form with Appreciate It, he's run second to Appreciate It twice in Grade 1s and then fourth back over Christmas. So he's been bumping in heads with the top horse over 2 miles. He's another one I think is going to improve going up in distance. If he's over that exertions at Cheltenham, then I think he's got to have a great chance. He sets the standard for me on all that form. And the other one is Pipe Smoker, who
for those listening on the podcast, Steve has a pipe. Yes, he does. He's got a pipe.
So continuing the theme, you wouldn't have to be Sherlock Holmes to spot that he hasn't won yet. But the form is there. He was second to Sporting John last season. He only ran twice last season when he was third to Chantry House at Cheltenham in the December, then second to Sporting John. And he's been running on heavy ground, and I don't think he really likes it. And he certainly got bogged down when he was third on his only start this season at Sandown. And I think getting on the better ground over 2.5 in a well-run race, which this is likely to be, I think is going to see him in a good light. So I would have a bit in the place market and a tiny bit in the win market, but Ballyadam is very, very solid to me.
Ballyadam and Pipe Smoker for Jonesy. There's not much agreement on this race. Adele, you're looking, again, similar, top of the market and then one at a slightly bigger price.
Yeah, well, I've followed my Drogo all season, and luckily I've tipped him the last 3 times he's won. And so he's 3 out of 3 over hurdles. He's managed to see him, and he's such a strong, big horse. He's fastly improving. I think he'll be a tough nut to crack in this race. I do. I think the step up again in trip will be to suit. There's loads of stamina and he's breeding. I couldn't believe he was 2-1 at Kelso, I ended up having a good few quid on him. So I actually think he's the one to beat. I don't think the extra 2 furlongs will be a problem. As I said, there's loads of stamina in his pedigree. There's loads to like about him. He's just a horse that, you know, is going to go on and the sky's the limit with him, I think, really. I thought just for a little bit more value and something for a bit of a place bet, I've gone for Manila Drama, Brian Hughes. I'd love to see Brian have a winner. I really want him to win the championship, bless him. I was talking to him at Wetherby, and, you know, he really wants it. So be nice if he nicks a winner. This horse has been quite progressive as well. He wasn't beaten far at Haydock in a grade 2. That was on heavy ground. Then he won a listed race at Market Raisin. His form's quite solid and he stays well. I think Aintree will suit him as well, because I was just wondering how Harry would ride my Drogo, because he dropped him out at Kelso. And I think, like Steve's already said, you probably want to be a little bit more on the front end, Aintree, which Manila Drama is quite sharp. I think it'll suit him. He's quite speedy at Aintree. So I've got him for a place bet. Not quite sure what he was, Deasy, if you can confirm that afterwards. But yeah.
And, you know, yeah. And then the Drama's, sorry, he's 12.0.
Oh, so good, yeah. So I'll have him for a place, and then my Drogo, I think, will take a bit of beating.
I love it that you've gone, I really want Brian to win the championship, so I've got to have a bit on his. But my main bet's Harry. Main bet's my Drogo, ridden by Harry Skelton, so, you know. I'll cheer them both home.
I'll cheer on you.
Yeah, quite right. Good stuff, Dees.
The first one I've gone for is Real Deal. He'd be kind of a small bit famous now for taking the piss out of the Irish handicapper there last season. He started off on a mark of 84 over hurdles, and he rocks up here on a mark of 145. He won a few flat races as well. But sure, you're on in the WhatsApp chat we had for Cheltenham, where I was texting in at 9 o'clock in the morning, going, back to Real Deal, all the Shrudies are on him, and then he was pulled out about 25 minutes later. So I'm going to get the money back at him, I think, in this. I think he's a really good horse. I think that, like, I've no problem with what they were doing last year. They were just winning a bit of money, winning easy races. But thought last time against he beat Ganapati, Echoes and Rain, Powers of Pause, Magic Tricks in the Moscow Flyer of Punchestown, and he drifted from 10.0 out to 23.0 on the day and absolutely bolted up. I think he's a really good horse. There was a mistake this morning on the race support. I looked it up. They had Ronan McNally down as the jockey and the trainer. And I thought, is he actually going to do this? Is he going to ride his own horse at Aintree to win? But Dennis O'Regan is on him, his usual jockey. He's 6.5. I think he's a great bet to win, and might have a bit of place bet as well if you want to do a bit of each way kind of stuff. And the other horse at a bigger price was JBY, Alan King's horse. I tipped him up earlier in the year for I think it was the Leamington's race at Warwick that Adramel won. Now he finished 5th, beaten by 3 lengths, but I think the heavy ground went against him. His previous run at Warwick, he absolutely smashed up the field after being, I'd say, last and coming around the corner. He just flew past them all. It was very, very, very impressive, I thought. He's won recently over 2 Mile 3 at Warwick again on soft ground. I think that if the ground is kind of good or a bit better, he'll run a big race. And again, he's 17.0, so small win and a place betting him as well.
The Real Deal at a shorter price and JBY at a bigger price. So most bases covered there as far as the top of the market and bigger prices go. We're going to skip out the 3 o'clock the Shishkin race just because we can't find an angle in there. Shishkin will probably go and win. There we go. We're going to move on to the Liverpool Hurdle. No official bets in that Shishkin race, so we just move on through it rather than wasting time on it. The 3:35, that Liverpool Hurdle, a fascinating race. We're going for a few at bigger prices, to be honest, but we'll just go through the betting, Dees. What's it like at the top?
So Time Hill is the favourite at 3.3. Then you have Paisley Park, 5.3. Roxana is 6.4. Lisnagar Oscar is 9.6. Then you have the Alcar is 15.5. Third Wind is 18.5. Vindication is 21.0. And the Fativille is 21 as well. And then you have if the cap fits, the underblinds, William Henry are all 22s.
Right. Adele, you're the only one currently. You've got a bigger price as well, but you are looking at Time Hill, agreeing with Peter, who said Time Hill all day long. Why Time Hill, and then get into your bigger price one as well?
To be honest, I didn't think Paisley Park ever really looked that happy at Cheltenham? Am I the only one that thought that? I know he does hit
I agree.
Flat spot, and I just thought he never really seemed to I don't know, he just didn't seem to me like he was his usual self. So based on that, I wasn't going to go with him at Aintree. And Time Hill missed Cheltenham due to a muscle injury. So I've kind of gone more purely on the fact that Time Hill is going to be a lot fresher than Paisley Park, because he still had a tough race at Cheltenham. So I'm going to go on more, the fact that he's a lot fresher, and obviously missing out Cheltenham, then Aintree was his next game. So I'm not going to go all strong on Time Hill at all. He's just kind of the one I prefer out of the two. At the kind of top of the betting, and then I had Third Wind then for a place who, I think maybe is a little bit to find like with the best stayers, but still got some strong form to his name. Again, he's another one that's quite fresh, and he finished in front of Lisnigar, Oscar, and on the blind side and Emiton. So, I think at the prices I'd be playing the place bet with him, and just a small win on Time Hill.
Time Hill for you, and a Third Wind as well. I agree on he's the one I couldn't back is Paisley Park personally. He hit that flat spot again, as you say, but that flat spot seems to be getting more flatter and flatter. And maybe he beat maybe it was the heavy ground that helped at Ascot, which meant he got ahead of Time Hill. I would worry about him personally. I'll come in and go just my two at bigger prices. Small stakes, win and place, but I thought. On the blind side was worth if the cap fits, not on the blind side. Jones is going for that. If the cap fits, I thought, he won this a few years ago. He was very disappointing at Cheltenham, but that's never really been his track. And I'm just going to give him another chance because on his best form, he's nowhere near a 20. What does he do? Into the 20s if the cap fits.
Yeah, I don't get to open up here again he's 22.0.
I think on his best form, he's nowhere near that. Now, you've got to be willing to put a line through last time. I'm a forgiving sort. Chasing hasn't worked. Maybe it just took a while for him to sort of reacclimatise to going back over hurdles. I don't think Harry Fry was in the best form either. He definitely wasn't going into Cheltenham. So I'm chancing him at a big price. And the other one is Vindication, at maybe just a few points shorter than that. I think it's interesting that they've gone blinkers for the first time. They went for cheap pieces a couple of starts ago where he unseated at Newbury. Then they went back over hurdles again. That's the angle. Maybe it just took a while for him to reacclimatise. He is a really good horse. He probably wants to go right-handed, but he was a good hurdler. He beat Champ over hurdles. I'm not actually sure Cheltenham really plays to his strengths before he ran well in the Ultimate a couple of years ago, but I will have a little bit on him, win and place. I'm hoping that those towards the top of the market. I just couldn't really decide between them at the top. So those are my shouts at bigger prices. Deasy, you're playing it a similar sort of way, certainly with if the cap fits.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't tip him, Jones. You were quite strong on him at Cheltenham and you've deserted him today.
I should cry. I should genuinely cry if he wins. I'm not. Tom's a forgiving person. I'm not. He let me down at Cheltenham. I'm not going to let that go.
Imagine if he would. It'd be great if. Can you send us a picture of the tears, Jonesy? That'd be welcome. Who are you with, Jonesy?
Sorry, I interrupted Dees, but I am with On the Blind Side, who I think is a really solid horse who'll run his race because he generally does. And he's been looking around big weights and handicaps and running really well. He was second to McFabulous in the last time he was in a graded race in that it was the rescheduled race from Cheltenham, the Liverpool Hurdle. It was a graded race last time in the Rendlesham when he was third. But I think that soft ground at Haydock is really sticky and everything. But before that, he is second to Come On Teddy. Come On Teddy ran really well in the Pertemps, and On the Blind Side was giving him the best part of 2 stone that day. So that was another really good race. I just think he'll run his race. He might not be good enough. So I would have a little bit, probably place and maybe a tiny bit win on the blind side. Tom's way overpriced for me. He's lost his form a little bit because last time at Haydock he didn't run at all well. That was in the Rendlesham, but he just was never going at any stage, and that wasn't his form. No doubt about that. If you go back 2 years, he was second to Champ in the Grade 1 Novice at Aintree, so he likes the track. He was a very progressive novice hurdler who didn't quite take the step up the following season, but he had a bit of a interrupted campaign. If he's back to his best form, I think what is he? He's about 30
seconds. Oh, he is 27.0. He'll probably get 30 if you.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky race for me because I agree with you guys about Paisley Park. I just think he needs soft ground now, and he's not going to get that. He just isn't quick enough to cope with these. Time Hill is the obvious one, but Philip Hobbs is not in great form at all. And although I do believe that the best horses can run through stable form, at a short price that put me off because he is the one that sets the standard undoubtedly, but at that price I was a bit worried. And then Roxana, who's again very solid, but I just thought it was a kind of race that you just want to be chancing one at a big price. So saying that, I'm chancing 2 on the blind side and Emiton.
On the blind side, did you a touch at a half decent price earlier on this year, and Emiton both big prices. Dees, you've got one more, haven't you? Sorry if I jumped in.
That's quite all right. Yeah, if the cap fits, I just think looking back at his his winning this a few years ago, he's a standout bet at that price. And the other one was Deasy Kerr, Noel Mead's horse. Another Irish horse going over to pick up an easy race in England, hopefully. He's got some good back form, and he managed to beat Monkfish in a maiden hurdle at Fairyhouse in November 2019. Last time he ran into Sam's Profile, who was absolutely just in the form of his life in the Galmoy. Deasy Kerr ran very well in second. They were 11 lengths clear of the horse in third. I think that he's a nice price at. Let's get up here now. He's 17.0. I mean, I think he could spring a surprise. A few of these have already ran at Cheltenham. He's nice and fresh. Everyone likes that angle, I think, for Aintree. So Deasy Kerr, and if the cap fits.
If Paisley Park wins and beats Time Hill and Roxana in the 1, 2, 3, we've all had an absolute shocker. So I sincerely hope that if one at the top does win, it's Time Hill for Adele, and otherwise the big prices are at least in the frame. Right, last race we're going to be looking at is again it's a tricky one, a 3 mile 1 furlong handicap chase, but it's a good one as well. And we are frighteningly in agreement with one horse. What's the betting first of all, Dees?
2 seconds, I'll just bet to load up here. So Happy Go Lucky is 4.6, Cloudy Glen is 8.2, Top Notch is 8.8. Then you have Spirit of the Games, Fagan and Sam Brown are all 11.5. Hold the Note is 14.0. Of all the gin joints and John Beebe are 15.5. Lawler is 17.5. Snow Leopard is a 17.5, and the rest of them are nice big prices.
Before we get into this race, Peter does raise a good point. He says, what's the latest on how much they're going to water the track? And I think that is where, I know we're a little bit, we're 2 days out from the Saturday effectively, but they are, I mean, particularly the national course, they are not going to want it to be in any way good ground, the fact there's going to be no rain. So that they will put a bit on. Does anybody have anything to add? I don't think we're going to be dealing with excuses ground at all, but I think if we're looking for far side of good on either course, we shouldn't be looking for that because they tend to err on the side of caution, I think, for obvious reasons. Does anybody want to add to that? No, don't have to. Good. So I hope that helps, Peter. But I think they'll be putting a little on. Right, Happy Go Lucky. Adele, you go first because we there's a few of us going for this horse. Why Happy Go Lucky off the back of a defeat at Cheltenham?
But it wasn't a bad defeat, though, was it, for a novice up against Vintage Clouds, who is an old pro. He travelled really well as well, and I thought the race. I kind of had a look through because I'm not usually one for favourite backers. I like to kind of look for something at some value. And when I had a good look through, I think some of them are just, you can find faults in a few of them. And I thought Happy Go Lucky he's been very consistent this season, and even though he was in defeat last time out, I think as long as he's freshened up nicely from Cheltenham, obviously it was a tough enough race, but I think he seems the horse that's been the most consistent, and I think he could do a lot more than having a small win bet on him. Found myself tipping one of I think Steve, you've tipped Snow Leopardess a couple of times, so I thought a little each way place bet on her, who was ran a blinder behind Galvin and Next Destination. Maybe was of course outclassed that day, but stayed on, grounded it out for third place. So I think he could do a lot worse than have a little bit of a place bet on her as well. But Happy Go Lucky, I think, is the one who looks the one to kind of beat, I think.
Happy Go Lucky and Snow Leopardess. Snow Leopardess a much bigger price than Happy Go Lucky, who I absolutely agree with. Just the one in here for me. Wouldn't normally go towards the top of the market, but I spoke to David Bass after that race, and the day after, and he said he just thought he was going to win the whole way, almost until he jumped the last. He didn't get it perfect, and then Vintage Clouds just kept on rolling out in front. And I think that you've hit upon a key point in that he was a novice against an old hand like Vintage Clouds and a proper stayer as well. We know Happy Go Lucky stays, and he won at Cheltenham previously, but I've thought a £2 rise for that was still fair enough, and I think he's got a lot more left in the tank, and I just think he'll take another step forward for it. Even the Fakenham run behind Getaway Trump reads pretty well. He's progressed nicely this year, and I thought he was the right favourite. I can't argue he's massive value necessarily, but I really think he will take some beating at Aintree in that 4:15. And Jonesy, you can add to that.
Yeah, not a lot to add. I just thought he was the standout. I think he had the least question marks. It's interesting that he's run quite a lot at Cheltenham. He won there over he was placed over hurdles there behind Time Hill earlier in his career. But I don't really think Cheltenham might not be his track. So because he's got 2 wins at Stratford, which is sharp left-handed. So I think this track might suit him better than Cheltenham, and he's just very, very solid. There's question marks about all the others, in my opinion. Some with ground, some with trip, and he's just very, very solid. Snow Leopardess, if she could go up a bit in the weight, she'd be a decent spin in the Grand National, because I think that's her kind of thing. And the interesting thing is her brother Paramount runs in the bumper, so Charlie Longston and Alice Fox Pitt's in-laws, so could be a good one. But Happy Go Lucky is standout. I think that of all the favourites on the card, I think apart from Shishkin, obviously, Happy Go Lucky's got the solid chance. Great
bit of it. I'm going to nick that info. Thanks, Jonesy. And pass it off as my own.
No problem.
Deasy.
The first one I'm going to put up is Cloudy Glen. He finished second in the Kimure. Had no chance, I suppose, with Mount Ida, but I thought it was a cracking race off a big price. I think Venetia went kind of close enough with a few horses today, so I'd be very interested in him. And the other one is, of all the gin joints, I can't believe I'm tipping and calling it a Tezar horse, but I was told before Cheltenham to keep an eye on him, and he ran in the 4 mile or the 3-6 mile or whatever it's called now. They didn't expect him to win, but they said that they thought he'd run a good race. He was pulled up when the race has gone for him, but I thought he ran and travelled quite well. And I think it's interesting that he's chucked in here. He's after being backed as well. He was 21.0 yesterday. Now he's 15.0. So they think they might have found the key to him, and I'll be having a small win and a place betting him.
You know what quote that's the film that's from, Dease, of all the gin joints in all the towns?
Casablanca, is it?
He's so cultured, Dease. I love it. Of course. Beautiful.
I was going to say Back to the Future, so I would have been wrong.
Yeah, you would have done. We're done. That's us. We're not going bumper. We're moving straight on to best bets. By all means, go for the national if anyone wants to, if you're very brave. But best bets for Grand National Day, starting with Steve Jones. Your best bet.
This Grand National Day, you've got to go for the Grand National Acapella Bourgeois.
I'll tell you what that is.
You've got to. It's the law.
I'm not going to. Good man. Acapella Bourgeois for Jonesy. DC, your best bet.
Southfield Harvest in the 145.
Breaking the law, not going national. Adele, your best bet?
I'm going with Jonesy's law. I'm going to go with Potter's Corner.
Potter's Corner in the national. And I am going with Happy Go Lucky. There we go. Well done, everyone. happy National Day. I hope between us we find the winner. Steve Jones, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Deasy, well done, bud. Thank you.
Nice one.
And Adele, thank you very much indeed. Good luck to Paul, whoever he's riding in the National. Thanks very much, everyone. Don't forget that sign-up offer, the new sign-up offer, 30 days with no commission. Use that code INSIGHTS for new customers. All the details online. And have a good day's punting on Grand National Day at Aintree. Bye-bye.